Hello, guys. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. I hope you are having a wonderful evening thus far. Welcome on into book club. We're breaking down the next two chapters, 5 and 6 of Matthew Perry's book, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing. I hope you're ready. Let's get into it. Oh, hi. It's me, Zack Peter, pop culture junkie, reality TV insider, published author, and host of the No Filter with Zack Peter podcast. Here I'll bring you all the latest news on the Real Housewives, deep dives into celebrity legal scandals, and unfiltered combos with your favorite stars. I've got you covered. And yes, I always keep receipts. So be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for all the latest tea. Now, let's dive in. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Wait, can I just have a moment to flex on my art? Look at how toned. Look at this. Look at this definition right now. Look at that. I be up in the gym just working on my fitness. He's my witness. Ooh-wee. Look at that. Muscle tone definition. Hey, let's get it. Get it. Get it. Ow. And throw them hips, girl. Bump, 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 bump. Hi, Storm. Hi, Val. Hi, Old White Lady. Hi, Muddy Grace. Hi, Renee. Hi, Aaron D. What's up? What's up, guys? Hi, Brittany. Hello, hello. Yes, you made it. Hi, April. What's going on, guys? Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Melissa G 730 is in the house. Hi, my love. Let me know where you're watching from so I can give you a little shout out. Hi, Jesse with the purple hair. Still loving the purple hair. Hi, Shelly girl. Welcome on in, guys. I hope you've read your chapters for book club tonight. We're going to get into it. Matthew Perry, The Addiction is getting wild. It's getting crazy. Oh, hey, it's Amber. Hey, Amber. Hi, Taylor. Ooh, look at that. Deb from Michigan, Steph from Washington State, Josine from New York City. I know that's right. Big bad booty. I'm gonna get it. Bad booty. All right, guys. Let me know if you've read the chapters or if you've not read the chapters and you're just looking forward to me reading you a bedtime story tonight. Shall we dive into all of it? Let's get to it. I know that we can do it. Where are my book club notes? Here we go. All right, so we are breaking down chapter 5, chapter 6, plus interludes in week 3 of book club of Matthew Perry's book, Friends, Lovers, and the Big Terrible Thing. So the first chapter up tonight is chapter 5, and it is called No Fourth Wall. So at this point, Matthew Perry is living on cloud 9, right? Magazine covers, late night shows, movie offers. It's a whole thing. It's expensive to be him. Julia Roberts was now being booked to come on Friends, and Matthew Perry had a major crush on Julia Roberts. But Julia Roberts is like, I'll do Friends, but I have to have character that's involved with Matthew Perry's character so that we can do a little, something. And so Matthew Perry was like, okay. So he made a few flirty moves. He sent her some flowers. He's like, oh, now I have a reason to send you flowers. And she was like, ooh, here's my number, call me. And she reciprocated the interest and the flirts, right? So then they were starting to date, maybe not official, but they're starting to, go out, have fun. The beat is sick. I want to take a ride on your discotheque. There was some buzz around them. People were asking questions. Then Matthew Perry landed his role opposite Salma Hayek in Fool's Rush. But during his time filming the movie, he got into a bit of a jet ski accident, which ultimately got him a prescription for some painkillers. Painkiller. And this is where he says this was his pink sky, where he took painkillers for the first time. It felt great. He was in pure euphoria. He got a prescription for 40 pills, and that was it. The rest is history. Then, within 1 year, he claims that he was taking a total of 55 pills a day, which is wild. He said that he was down 128 pounds and suddenly he found himself making some major headlines for being in rehab. And he's like, well, this is not cool because here I am. I love being famous, but being famous also comes with people taking interest in my personal life. And part of my personal life is people taking interest in me going to rehab and me not being able to deal with rehab privately. So he went to rehab, did his thing, was coming out victorious. And all of a sudden, after rehab, he was getting ready to get back to work on Friends. And so he remembers the height of it all. And he remembers the day that David Schwimmer came to him and brought this proposal to him to have all of the actors on the cast get paid the same amount of money for being on the show. And he's like, that was a really smart idea that paid off for me way down the line. But Matthew Perry was like, David Schwimmer could have made the most money because he was one of the biggest stars on the show next to Courtney Cox. And he was like the biggest breakout star. But instead of making the most money, David wanted to make them a team. He wanted to make them a true group of friends, which they were. They became friends on screen and they became friends off screen. So this ended up paying off down the line for all of them because they ended up making a lot more money down the line. By season 8, they were making $1 million per episode. So outwardly, things were looking great. Inwardly, Matthew was really struggling with his addiction. And so he was getting really, really thin. And he was also gaining a lot of weight depending on what was going on in his life. So he says that when he was really thin, which was under 130 pounds, he says that this is when he was on pills. But when he was much heavier, when he was thick with it, when he was, shaking that Magna Stallion booty, and he was over 200 pounds, he says that that was all because of the alcohol. Blame it on the alcohol. Blame it on the alcohol. So at the height of his pill addiction, he says that he needed 55 pills of Vicodin a day. Otherwise, he would get wildly sick and he wouldn't be able to function. So he started to get worried, but he kept going, wanted to stay strong, wanted to keep doing it, wanted life the fullest as this mega celebrity that he was becoming. And so he ended up landing a role in Almost Heroes alongside Chris Farley. And he said that Chris Farley and him, I guess, got close, but it was really hard because Chris Farley ended up dying of an overdose before the film's release. He was like, "Ooh, Chris Farley died, overdose, me, yikes, this ain't that great because I'm starting to get addicted myself and I don't want to get caught up in this addiction." So apparently, opioid detox can kill you, opioid detox can't kill you. Alcohol detox and Xanax detox can kill you. Opioid detox can't kill you, but it does make you feel like you wish you were dead. So while he was on tour, he was wildly addicted to pills, which ultimately landed him back in rehab. And while he was in treatment, he was like, trying to power through it, trying to stay strong, trying to be strong. This is a crisis, Bethany Frankel. And all of a sudden, during one of his sessions, he ended up having a grand mal seizure due to the severe detox period. So his addiction was strong, so strong that it prevented him from enjoying the success of Friends. He was like, I was literally having all of this success and living my best life. And then at the same time, I wasn't able to be present for it because I was high and drunk the entire time. One time in particular, he remembers falling asleep during one of the scenes he was filming as Chandler, and Matt LeBlanc had to be like, "Hey, dude," and wake him up before he deliver his lines. But he's like, "Listen, other than that one time, I always showed up. I always knew my lines, and I always delivered my lines. 'Cause I'm a professional." Okay. Then he got pancreatitis, and that was rare because he was really young, and usually young people don't get pancreatitis. So he says that he couldn't eat or drink anything for 30 days because the pancreas needed to heal because his pancreas was a little beaten up down there. But he says that it was fine because he was high and happy and doped up in the hospital, just living life in a bliss cloud of highness. And then he checked out, and because eventually the pancreas healed and he didn't want to leave because he liked being on the drugs that they had him on. Eventually he did have to check out, but he was still a little high when he checked out. And I guess he didn't really disclose how high he was because I guess he was functional. He was like a functional addict. But so he ended up leaving. And when he left the facility, he was high AF. and then ended up parking his car into someone's living room because he was driving under the influence. And then that ended up getting caught by the paparazzi, and then that ended up getting leaked to the media, and that was a whole other ordeal. And then he had to move in with his father, and he had to get driven around everywhere because he couldn't drive anymore because he crashed into somebody's living room. And then father and his father's girlfriend were like, "Hold up, wait a minute, we can't take this anymore. We got to kick you out because we got to give you some tough love, and you're a little too much to handle right now, my love." So the addiction kept going strong. People were starting to notice. One day in comes Jennifer Aniston, and Jennifer Aniston's like, "Listen, it's time we address the elephant in the room, and the elephant in the room is your drinking." She said that the cast could smell the alcohol. He was like, "Wait, how? Like, what do you mean? I've never worked high. I've never worked drunk." And she's like, "We can smell it on you." And he says that that moment hit him like a sledgehammer because he loved Jennifer Aniston, but at this point, he couldn't love her too much because she was now married to Brad Pitt, or I think she was with Brad Pitt. I don't know if they were married quite yet, but she was with Brad Pitt, and she was coming to him as a friend. Remember, she friend zoned him. He had a crush on her back in the day. Now he couldn't have a crush on her because now she has a man. But she's like, out of love and concern, I was elected to come and deliver this news. And he's like, "I've never worked high, definitely hungover, definitely in need of addressing his addiction." Now here it was, and the cast was starting to notice. So he tried to avoid it. He tried to deflect. Now all of a sudden, the cast and writers and crew were all coming together. Since Jen Aniston wasn't making that big of an impact, they all came and met in his dressing room, and they all needed to address his drinking, and he finally had to face the music. The writers, the cast, everyone was on to him, and he was not liking that. He was feeling like the heat was coming a little too strong, so he begged his agent to book him another gig to keep him busy so that he could avoid everybody, so that if he did reek like alcohol, at least nobody would really notice because he would come, he would film the scenes, and then he would peace out. And then because he had to go film a film. So he was trying to just like make sure he was avoiding getting caught with letting people on to how bad things actually were. But it only made things worse because, yeah, he was booked and busy, but he was lit more than ever. He was booked, busy, and lit like a Christmas tree. So he was taking drugs, he was drinking, he was finally about to hit his next breaking point, and all of a sudden, production on his latest film and his scenes on Friends all came to an abrupt halt because now here he is having to go into rehab and having to go back into detox, having to address these deep, dark demons that he was now being plagued by. And that's the end of chapter 5. And then we have a brief interlude, and the brief interlude isn't really a story as much as it is a little quote. And the interlude is titled Holes. And the quote is, "Addiction is like the Joker. It just wants to see the whole world burn." Thoughts on chapter 5 before we move into chapter 6. Chapter 6 is titled Bruce Willis. Oh, look at that. Cindy B11 buying 3 batches already up in the house. Let's get it, Cindy. Cindy, hey girl, hey girl, hey. Glad they came together to help him. I agree, Storm. I'm glad the cast, like, cared about him enough to want to help him. It seemed like there was definitely camaraderie amongst the cast. Mallory says, "I get so excited for Zack days because I know I'm going to chat with all of you." Yay! Well, I'm very excited to chat with you, Mallory. Julie says, "I used to work with the guy and you could smell it on him, and it's not a good situation at all." Val says he's incredibly lucky, good people around him. I mean, that's what you need, right? You need people that are going to hold you accountable. You need people that are going to be honest with you. You need people that want to see you do well. Because if they didn't give a shit about him, they would let him crash and burn his life, right? And listen, when you're an actor and you're on a successful show, you can crash and burn your life and they'll just write you out of the show. They'll just fire you and find somebody to replace you in some way or whatever. In this case, it really seemed like everybody cared about him enough to want to see him get help and to want to see him get better. Let's move into chapter 6. Chapter 6 is titled Bruce Willis. So after 3 months in rehab, Matthew Perry's doing much better. Okay. And after 3 months, I would hope you're doing much better because that's a lot of fucking time in rehab. But in order to deal with his sobriety and in order to deal with his own thoughts for the first time in a long time, he was like, "I need to be clear headed. I'm going to break up with my girlfriend so that I can deal with me." or at least that's what he tried to convince himself of, because he says that he really just wanted to bang a bunch of chicks. And now that he was sober and now that he was aware, he could actually enjoy the sex. So he said he just wanted to sleep with half of Los Angeles. Like Meredith, he just wanted to bang half of New York. He wanted to flex. He wanted to flex on that fame and show off that, like, listen, I'm Matthew Perry, I'm a star, and now I can see it. I can show you the world, or at least show you a good time. He was lots of fun. Matthew says that he brought the FUN. He was just full of FUN, and he was ready to show it off. He says that sobriety was hard, but he was willing to give it all. But also hard was dating. He said that he was so focused on fucking everyone in town and avoiding his emotions that nothing lasted, that it prevented him from actually settling down and finding a good. Well, actually, I think he found good women. He was just not allowing himself to have a good time, to have a good relationship that could build into something more than just a one night stand or a regular nightstand, right? First 2 years of sobriety blew right by. He actually said that season 9 of Friends was the only season that he was sober. All the other ones, he was high or drunk or on something. And he says that it was indicative because season 9 was the season that he got nominated for an Emmy. And season 9 was the season everybody couldn't stop talking about Chandler. And it was because he was finally aware. He was able to listen to the other actors. So when he's in a scene, he's able to react. Because when you're acting, your job is to react to what the other actor is giving you rather than just reading lines and delivering them. And so he kind of got on autopilot and was just spitting out lines that he knew he had memorized, and he was able to memorize. But at least now he was able to like do his job a little bit better, and then he got the nomination. Good for him. But he said at this point he was starting to get a little tired of hurting women by being emotionally unavailable. And I'm just like, yes, Matthew. Yes. Snaps for Matthew, because there are too many guys in Los Angeles that don't care about being emotionally unavailable, and they just like ruin your lives. And at least Matthew Perry was like, you know what? I'm gonna have a little bit of self-awareness, and I'm gonna try to like not be a horrible human being, even though I'm still gonna be a horrible human being. So like the desire, respect. So there was one woman in particular, and she was frustrated with him because she was on the Matthew Perry merry-go-round of emotions. And so she threw a fit, and she's just like, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of you. Fuck Meredith. She's such a whore. And she fucked half of New York, and her fuck her family that poses. And why does her husband not be able to keep a job? So she's having this whole meltdown moment. She storms off into the bathroom, and apparently she had a bottle of pills beside her bed, right there on the counter. 3 pills were out on the counter, which I'm kind of like, if you really liked it that much and you wanted a little more from him, like, don't you think you would not leave your pills just like on the counter like that? Because if you like him, you would know he's an addict, and maybe we're not supposed to do this because, like, you know, we're supposed to be mindful and not just think about us, Barbara. But anyway, pills by the side of the bed, not being able to fix her pain, coupled with his own battle with sobriety and just anxiety of being in the moment, he stared at the bottle. And he's like, what do I do? Do I take the pills and give up on my sobriety? Or do I refrain, face this woman's emotional pain that I caused, and have to actually sit with this? What is he going to do? Well, spoiler, he took the pills, and off to the races we went. Back on the pills, back on the drinking after 2 years of sobriety. And listen, he knew all he had to do was tell somebody. And once he told somebody, then they could hopefully help get him back on track, or at least hold him accountable, right? Hi, Rebecca from Texas. Ooh, look at Rebecca came in, and she's like, listen, I'm here, baby. Rebecca from Texas. Hi, Rebecca from Texas. Welcome on in, girl. So back to the races, back on pills, back to drinking. He said that he could have very easily told somebody and they could have helped him get back on track, but he didn't want to get back on track. It felt too good to fall off the wagon. It felt too good to be caught up into it again. And then all of a sudden, boom, a script falls into his lap. And it's a script for a film that would also star Bruce Willis. And at this point, it didn't get any bigger or better than Bruce Willis. Talk about muscles. Talk about let's get it. Bruce Willis is the star. Okay. Bruce and Matthew decides to move forward with the script. Bruce and Matthew hit it off. They become quick friends, and life with Bruce is rich, honey. rich. I'm talking chic, c'est la vie, private planes, big parties, living life, right? Living life, the whole 9 yards, which was, I believe, the name of the movie, right? The whole 9 yards. So, all very chic, c'est la vie, feeling Giovanni. He said that his role in the film was super easy because all he really had to do was react to Bruce on camera. So he was like, all right, just have to read my lines, react to him, and like have action reactions and do a lot of physical comedy. That's not really hard. Physical comedy he thought was easy, and he liked doing physical comedy. So to him, that wasn't much of a challenge, I guess. But he said that he had a blast working and partying with Bruce because apparently Bruce is a big partier. The only difference was Bruce knew when to clock in and when to clock out. Bruce knew when it was time to work. Bruce knew when I could, take off my hat, chill, and do whatever Bruce is going to do. Matthew, on the other hand, Matthew was an addict. So he didn't know how to shift gears. He didn't know how to clock in and clock out. He was always clocked. He didn't know if it was in or out or what. He was just clocked. He was lit and clocked and just like loaded. So luckily, he powered through the film, the whole 9 yards debuts, and it's a mega hit. Matthew Perry is living life even bigger and better. It seems like the more addicted he became, or the more he struggled with addiction, like the bigger his fame got. And so he was really happy that the whole 9 yards was a mega hit because he says that he and Michael J. Fox are the only two actors that had a #1 movie simultaneously at the same time that they had a #1 TV show. So he had Friends, whole 9 yards, J. Fox. I don't remember what TV show he had. He's from Back to the Future. So maybe somebody in the live chat will remember what #1 show Matthew J. Fox had at the same time. That I believe it was Back to the Future. That was his #1 movie that came out that aired simultaneously with his show. So even though he was at the height of his career, he was living life like a zombie. He was on autopilot for most of it. He was isolated from the world, and anytime he'd have to show up, he wasn't all there because he was all lit. Boom. Family Ties. There we go. So Michael J. Fox had Family Ties, and he had Back to the Future. And so Matthew Perry, I don't know if I would consider Michael J. Fox and Matthew Perry like in the same category, right? I just feel like Michael J. Fox is like more of like a movie star, film star, like a TV star, and Matthew Perry is Chandler from Friends. Not that I mean, listen, maybe I don't know. I just wouldn't put the same category, you know? Spin City. I don't think that was. Everyone's saying Family Ties, Mighty Grace. I think you're a little off. There is no off the clock with addiction. That's right, Val. No, there ain't. Everything probably would have worked better sober. Oh, I'm pretty sure. So many care, but if he doesn't care about himself, nothing else will matter. I agree. Love Family Ties. I don't think I've ever saw Family Ties. Ooh. Spin City Family Ties was the 80s. Interesting. But I'm assuming I've heard of Family Ties. I've never heard of Spin City, or at least I don't really remember Spin City. Was it called Spin City Family Ties? Or was Spin City the #1 show that he was on? Spin City. Oh, can somebody do a fact check? Zach, you were Lizzo hands. Oh, thanks, Boo. Thanks, Quinn. Michael J. Fox was extremely popular in his TV days. I think he's still popular. Shows how old I am. I know him. City really good. Someone do a fact check and like Google when Back to the Future came out and when Spin City and Family Ties came out to see which show he was referring to was the #1 TV show that came out when Michael J. Fox had Back to the Future. And say fact checked. That way I know that you fact checked it. When he left Spin City, Charlie Sheen came in. Interesting. Back to the Future and Family Ties are both in the 80s. Spin City was in the 90s. Got it. Thank you, Russ, for clarifying. It was Family Ties. Then we get into the final chapter of night, which I guess isn't really a chapter. It's the final interlude, and it's called All Heaven Breaks Loose, or All Heaven Breaking Loose. And so this is another story, because remember, we jump back and forth between chapters with the interludes. So in this interlude, he talked about, following another 2 years of sobriety, and then again, he falls off the wagon, and now here he was back in detox, and this time detox seemed fairly solid, but mainly because Matthew Perry had snuck in some Xanax. So it was a lot smoother than normal. So his regular 4 pills weren't really doing anything for him. So he decided to double that dosage and he took 8 pills. And 8 pills is apparently a deadly amount to take all at once. But he was like, the 4 pills didn't do anything. And I'm stuck here in detox and I don't want to detox. Apparently that amount of Xanax fried his brain and he started to like see array of colors and he was starting to see things he'd never seen before because what was going on in his eyes and what was being connected to his brain, like those signals were being all sorts of cross-wired. So the other issue now became he only had 8 pills in his possession total. And now here he was, and he had taken all 8 of them at the exact same time. So now not only was he in the middle of detox, but he was secretly on pills, so he couldn't just get more Xanax to feed that addiction, which meant he would soon have to properly detox for Xanax, but no one knew that he'd even snuck it in. So here he is detoxing from alcohol and opioids, sneaks in Xanax, takes all the Xanax, now has no more Xanax left to take. And remember, Xanax detox can quite literally kill you. So this was the dangerous detox. And nobody even knew that he was on it. So the doctors didn't even know how to address it. So now he had to actually come clean and be like, hey, doc, I took too much Xanax and I'm going to have to detox from all the Xanax so that I don't die. And the doctor was like, boy, you crazy. And so he got him on a whole new detox plan with some seizure meds because apparently you can have seizures when you're detoxing from Xanax. And so we tried to address all of that. And he, once he was out of the detox phase, he said that he had this moment where he started to feel euphoric. And he said, you know, it wasn't just like feeling like warm honey coming into his veins, which is how he described taking drugs, as it felt like warm honey was going into his veins. He said this time he felt like warm honey and he started crying and he was weeping because suddenly he just had this moment of euphoria where he felt safe and he felt taken care of in the moment. He said that he felt connected to the universe in a whole new way. And he says that this was God and God was showing him what life could be like sober, in sobriety. He said that this moment was like meeting God, that some people think that it may have been like a near death experience, but he thinks that this was really just God showing him his way out, showing him how life could be, showing him another way. And once in a while, now that he is sober currently, he says once in a while, when he feels connected, the universe, to God, whatever, he says that he sees little glimpses of that euphoria again. And that is what reminds him that this was the picture that God showed him and that it is out there. And so when he sees nature and he feels these moments of euphoria and he feels that, sense of calm and sense of being taken care of or feeling safe, he's like, those are the glimpses that God showed me of what life could be like. And now I'm on this journey to see if life can really be like this full time. That man's liver must be made of solid steel. I agree, Valport. I'm like, yikes. My goodness, the amount of shit he's taken and the amount of abuse he's done to his body is like, wow, says. Spin City was mid to late 90s. Michael was a huge movie star, much bigger than Perry. Yeah, I just feel like he is a much bigger star than Matthew Perry. Like, just in general, he's playing a dangerous game. He is playing a dangerous game, but you know what? He did it. He survived it. He's living life. Hi, guys. Hello, Instagram. How you doing? And that's it. That's the wrap for book club this week. We have 3 chapters next week, and then we have the final 2 chapters after that. So next week we'll stay 5 and 6. So we have 7, 8, and 9, and then we have 10 and 11. So 2 more weeks of Matthew Perry's book club, and then we have to start to think about what the next book is going to be, so we can make sure we get that ordered, ready, and set. I was thinking maybe the Jessica Simpson book. That might be kind of fun, right? How are you guys feeling? Are we liking the book so far? I think it's interesting. I'm enjoying the book. Doesn't he speak of any psychological help? Does he speak of any psychological help? See, that's kind of the interesting thing. And I guess I don't have enough experience with addiction, but maybe some of you guys can, enlighten me in some way or add a little context to this. But my thought is it's like it sounds like he's not addressing like some of the other emotional issues or psychological issues maybe. I'm not sure. But it feels like we're missing something, right? It feels like we're not addressing something. And he's just like, I'm an addict, and so I don't know. I guess I'm trying to read it. I'm trying to understand and relate to him, but I'm not an addict, so I can't really relate to him. Whereas, like to me, reading the book, there are a lot of emotional, um, there are a lot of emotional issues that need to be addressed. There are a lot of like traumas that seem to need to be addressed and worked through in some way, right? Whereas I feel like his mentality is very much like, I'm an addict and this is just how it's going to be. This is how my brain chemistry works. And that's not to say that that's not true at all. Again, I'm speaking from ignorance here, lack of experience, but I just think it doesn't sound like the emotional issues are being addressed, and we're kind of just brushing that over by saying, "Oh, he's just an addict, so this is just the way his life is always going to be. So we don't need to address these things because addressing these things might not fix the problem." Maybe we dive into that further throughout the book. I believe this is how he processes what he went through as he had to personally take accountability for this journey. Yeah, maybe that's a good point. No, Zach, you're speaking facts. You're right. It's like, okay, good. So I'm not crazy. Because that's kind of the impression that I'm getting is he's not fully addressed everything he needs to address. Cool. Sorry, guys. I feel like our live streams have been a little choppy lately. And I feel like it's like, I don't know if it's StreamYard that's the issue or if it's the Wi-Fi that's the issue. I think it, but like this stream looks fine. I feel like it might be StreamYard. I just feel like lately the live stream has kind of been like freezing up. It's been having trouble connecting to the Wi-Fi, but it may also be the Wi-Fi is the issue. I'll call my Wi-Fi provider and I'll also see if I can reach out to StreamYard support because I just feel like, you know, how does he remember everything if he was high all of his life? I mean, that's a really good point. That's a great, it's a great point. I don't really know. I mean, well, he does kind of talk about the periods where he was in a fog. So maybe he's only talking about the parts that he does remember, which aren't all of it. I don't know. Hello. Hi, Caroline. Tonight, YouTube has been freezing and chopping up. Okay, I'm sorry about that, guys. I will try to make sure for the next live stream, which will be on Friday, because we're not doing our regular Thursday live stream. I'll try to make sure that the issues are resolved so that we don't run into that issue moving forward. I do apologize for that. I don't think it's a YouTube issue. It's either a Wi-Fi issue or it's a StreamYard issue. I'm kind of thinking it's a StreamYard issue. I thought it was having some sort of sound, only because I can see it on my screen. It's like blinking on my screen. But the Instagram live stream seems to be fine and seems to have been completely uninterrupted. So it makes me think that it's StreamYard. I'll make sure we get it fixed and everything's good and set before our next live stream. So I'll call them up tomorrow and be like, bitch, fix my live stream. The Zack Pack needs clear streams. Okay. All right, guys, that's all I got for you tonight. It's the end of book club. We'll be back next week. We'll be back next Tuesday. It's okay. StreamYard is notoriously fickle. Good to know. Maybe I'll leave StreamYard and dip on over to something else. Good to know, Val Porter. Good to know. Thank you. It's expensive. Oh, thank you for the super badges. I love the badges. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap tonight because I feel like the stream's probably fucked up and I apologize for that again. But I'll wrap tonight. We do have a members only live stream that'll be on Wednesday. So Wednesday, stay tuned for the members only live stream. And then we won't do a live on Thursday because it's Thanksgiving. But we will have a live stream on Friday morning instead. And I know you guys should be available because it's Black Friday. Well, unless you're working retail. But are we Black Friday, crazy Black Friday? Is that still a thing? I don't know. Anyway, love you guys. Appreciate you. Talk to you later. Good night, guys. Bye, bye, bye.